Hello, dear friends. At your request, I will explain the meditation performed in the area of the third eye, the Ajna chakra. This meditation easily awakens the potential of the energy center. I will outline many important elements of the meditation, the contemplation itself, and we will also discuss the qualities of this chakra, as we must understand what we are working with, how it should be awakened, what effects should manifest, and so on. So, what would I like to start with now? First of all, to awaken the energy center known as the third eye, we must be involved in a spiritual tradition. This is because development on the path of spiritual tradition is the only way to progress. If there is no spiritual tradition, or if we belong to a teaching that is not authoritative and lacks genuine spiritual roots, then, in this case, there will be almost no development. We can, day by day, practice this meditation for 5 to 6 hours, but the progress will be very minimal and will involve numerous obstacles and difficulties. Essentially, we will be developing independently, lacking any protection or spiritual guidance. But on the path of spiritual tradition, there will always be some protectors, even from the spiritual realms. It is not necessary for the spiritual patron to be physically present near us. Such beings are special deities that oversee particular teachings. For example, in the Christian tradition, such deities are called angels. Individuals who advance on the path of Christianity receive the protection of these angels or even of saints. If we follow some incomprehensible teaching, there will, accordingly, be no such protection. There will also be no advice and guidance. The second condition is that it is very important for us to have a spiritual teacher. Regarding where to find a spiritual teacher, I have already mentioned that in the Hindu tradition, particularly in India, there are many different types of teachers. There are also numerous followers here in Russia, but one must be very, very cautious and try not to fall for scams, as there are many different kinds of deceivers. You need to be careful and double-check everything multiple times. The teacher is an enlightened being who, by giving a blessing, bestows upon us special enlightened energies that aid us in our spiritual journey towards self-improvement. His blessing, his spiritual power, regardless of the distance, will lead us along. This is very important. Even if the teacher is not enlightened but follows the tradition of purity and wisdom, which encompasses all teachers from past times up to our current direct teacher, we can still receive a blessing from the tradition itself or even from the founder of this tradition, which is also, by the way, an important factor. If our teacher does not belong to such a continuity, and I also drew attention to this in the previous videos, then he is not authoritative and, most likely, he is not enlightened. Next, I will explain one more point from which you need to begin meditation. It is very important to understand that the state of meditation is based on the flow of energy of the astral body, also known as the dream body. It consists of 72,000 channels. They are visible in the state of meditation or even during yoga nidra and during lucid dreams. Approaching a person, we can see a certain cocoon that consists of thousands of channels through which flows golden or other energy, with a multicolored radiance, such as rainbow energy. In the center of this cocoon, in this astral shell, there is a soul that shines like a brilliant point, and it is located mainly in the center of the chest, in the area of the heart, in the Ajna chakra. Naturally, if the physical body that is connected to this subtle body is in the wrong state and the energies flow in an unnatural, incorrect way, this will directly affect our state. Therefore, all meditations are always performed exclusively with a perfectly straight back. Our spine should be in a perfectly straight position. The position of the legs is considered secondary. The positions known as Siddhasana, Sukhasana, Padmasana, Vajrasana, and any other exercises in which we are comfortable and can sit for a long time with a perfectly straight back are very well suited for this practice. It is also suitable for people who have problems with their legs to use a pose known as the Pharaoh's pose. This is a special position on a chair where we sit, and our legs hang down. At the same time, they must rest either on a stand or in such a way that they do not obstruct blood circulation and do not worsen it. If our legs go numb, this will also affect our meditation. But the main rule is an exclusively straight back. That is why, in the yoga tradition, it is recommended to master Hatha yoga so that our body is strong, fit, and, most importantly, enduring. Our body should easily bear the load in the muscular structure for 2 or 3 hours so that we can calmly be in a state of meditation. This factor is very important, therefore, the position of the back should always remain straight. If we sit on the sofa or lie down on the floor, in most cases, this meditation will proceed solely on the basis of concentration of the mind, and usually such practice ends simply in sleep. We might fall asleep in a sitting or lying position, and such meditation usually loses clarity. It becomes sluggish, lacking brightness and development. When we meditate on the area of the third eye, the Ajna chakra, we must sit with our eyes closed and direct our attention, our inner mental gaze, to the space located between the eyebrows. There is also a very important point. When we focus on this space, we must not strain ourselves under any circumstances. When we exert strain, our consciousness becomes tense, which can lead to an undesirable state. We may become irritable, agitated, or hot-tempered. This indicates that our mind is in a state of intense concentration, yet such concentration should be avoided. So, how do we contemplate correctly in meditation? With our eyes closed and in the proper yoga pose, we should gently gaze into the space between our eyebrows, much like we would when watching TV. When we watch TV, a computer, a tablet, or a phone, we experience absolutely no tension. For us, this activity is generally associated with pleasure. We easily watch TV and enjoy it. Similarly, we should observe the space between our eyebrows, aiming to cultivate a sense of pleasure. This center emanates a very large amount of inner light. It exists in a state of pure radiance. The color corresponding to the Ajna chakra is indigo, but in its pure state, it manifests not only as saturated purple but also as dark blue. In an even more subtle aspect, it appears bright blue. By meditating on these lights, we can easily awaken this energy center. In other words, we must tune in and try to observe these colors or, through visualization, maintain the radiance of blue, dark blue, or indigo. I would even advise you from the start to tune into bright blue, as this light quickly calms the mind and cleanses the energy center. The next element is associated with reciting a mantra. A problem that all yogis and mystics face during the first decades of practice is a restless mind. In order to occupy it and, at the same time, cleanse it, it is crucial to receive initiation from our teacher so that he provides us with a specific mantra. If we possess such a mantra, we must recite it with closed eyes, gazing into the inner space and holding a bright light between the eyebrows. Possessing spiritual power, this mantra will open and cleanse this energy center. After some time, we will begin to perceive certain lights. They will grow brighter and brighter. By the way, we shouldn't despair if at any point we realize that we don't see colors or lights. We should simply continue to be diligent. Most likely, an impure state of mind, some kind of polluted internal perception, and obstacles associated with this energy center will often prevent us from seeing the light. However, as time passes and we practice Hatha yoga, we will simultaneously strengthen our internal energy and clear some obstacles. Subsequently, this meditation will begin to be accompanied by visions of light and a deep calming of the mind. This state is experienced over time, and the most difficult part is still the beginning of such meditation. I will repeat myself, my friends, because I am sure many of you might overlook this aspect. why it is necessary to maintain straight spines and why energy should flow along the spine strictly upward. The point is that if we sit with a hunched back and an uneven neck, the energies will deviate in those energy chakras associated with certain aspects of our lives. If the energy deviates, for example, into the navel area, into the Manipura chakra, we will be overwhelmed by hunger, and we will experience images of food, some needs associated with greed. If the energy deviates into the Swadhisthana chakra, we will be overwhelmed by images related to sexual relationships or certain creative activities. If our energy is deflected into the heart center while sitting with a hunched back, we will experience feelings of attachment. The energy will not rise to where we need it. It will not ascend to the area of the third eye, and this will subsequently pose a significant difficulty. The deviation of energy always carries some obstacles that frequently hinder our spiritual path. Very often, when we recite a mantra, we do so exclusively with the mind. However, this is an incorrect approach. In such recitation, the energies of our body are not engaged, and the body itself is uninvolved. For this, we need to be in a state of contemplation, reciting the mantra while holding the light, and to feel all these actions with our entire physical body. We must sense how the light and the vibration of the mantra spread throughout the whole body, responding with feelings of joy and a subtle state of bliss. When reciting the mantra mentally, we should feel this vibration even in our toes, feet, shins, thighs, pelvic area, and throughout the entire body. It should not merely be a dry mental recitation. It must be a living mantra, a spontaneous manifestation of its energy. We should feel the mantra and the light, as the presence of light is accompanied by pleasant sensations in the body that can perceive this light, even if it is in small amounts. Additionally, a significant obstacle is the desire to obtain results as quickly as possible. Try to avoid this thought. Aim to meditate not just on the goal but exclusively on quality while expressing the intention to achieve results. Here, you don't need to concentrate on the result itself. You just need to do it, and the result will appear on its own. You need to let the result manifest itself. If we hold the thought, I'll awaken Kundalini, I'll open the third eye, or I'll awaken the heart center, then usually such concentration of the mind does not benefit. All this time we just hold our consciousness on this thought. Although there is a need to focus consciousness and attention exclusively on the state of light. This is a significant obstacle, and many yogis stumble on this quite often. Many years might pass before the point when the yogi understands that something is going wrong. All this time, instead of being in real meditation, he may have been concentrating on some of his own thoughts. I emphasize that everyone stumbles on this. A mistake is inevitable. It is important to understand that, in the process, the mind will become clearer and more subtle. You will comprehend where the hint that I provide is and what I mean by describing all this. In other words, many aspects of meditation are revealed during the process of meditation itself, and the explanation of meditation is a hint of the movement's vector. It is also very important to learn to trust the mantra. It carries the power of the higher aspects of being, let's say, directly from Sri Narayana or Shiva. When we learn to interact with these energies and allow them to manifest in the universe of our body, the power of the mantra begins to awaken. If we try to strictly control our internal forces, then the awakening remains at the level of stern control. By and large, we first have to cope with the rigidity of our minds, and only then will the processes I am trying to explain to all of you occur. Therefore, try at the outset to avoid concentration and rigidity. Be soft and flexible, but at the same time be persistent, without the effort of the intellect. The mind should be a pure, spontaneous fluid. That is when the mantra will show its power. While the mind is rigid and rough, we will often encounter difficulties. Nevertheless, it is still worth continuing. Even if you stumble upon this difficulty, you can still progress. Another very important element is the time when we practice. I always recommend the morning hours, as that should be exclusively exclusively the time when we have just woken up. Even if you allow yourselves to sleep an extra hour on Sunday, or 2, or even 3 hours, it doesn't matter. Get up, let's say, at 9 o'clock and permit yourselves to meditate. We must devote 30 to 40 minutes to meditation. The fact is that after waking, the material mind has not yet fully awakened. It is still partially in the astral body. It awakens approximately in 30 minutes to an hour. For each person, it happens differently. While still in the state of the astral body and performing the meditation technique, without being confused by the hard, rough mind, which usually intensifies during the day, we can easily experience very high-quality, useful states of meditation. Otherwise, if meditation is performed during the day or in the evening, we will need to devote the first part of the time to calming the mind. Only after that will we be able to enter a real state of meditation. I recommend using the morning hours, but if you can't do it or don't have the habit, you can utilize both daytime and evening hours. There are no problems here. You can even use nighttime. It may also be a very useful opportunity. However, each of these times of day leaves a special imprint on our body, the surrounding space, and our state of mind. This will impose its own peculiarities. Nevertheless, we can meditate at any time without exception. There does not exist an improper time for this. Speaking about the amount of time spent on meditation, I recommend starting with 15 to 20 minutes, but an important rule is regularity. We can get up every morning to meditate for 15 minutes, and it should be at the same time and in the same place. As soon as we sit in this place, our mind will enter a state of meditation. This rule must always be followed. Meditate regularly. We may not be able to do this for many hours, but it is better to meditate for 20 to 50 minutes at the same hour and necessarily regularly. Progress in this case will be deeper and much more tangible.